Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The movie begins in the tumultuated. The nation becomes a tinderbox of ethnic strife, between the Fulani Muslims in the north,